I'm 101 years old. Last Christmas I threaded a needle. This morning I read my Bible, same tiny print I've been reading for 80 years. No glasses, never needed them. My ophthalmologist calls me a medical curiosity. People half my age can't see their phones without squinting. They hold menus at arm's length. They ask their grandchildren to read the fine print. And here I am, 101, seeing everything. Now I'm not special. I'm not blessed with magic eyes. I just ate what my mama told me to eat. And before I go, I need to tell you what was on that plate. My name is Della Mae Hutchins. I'm 101 years old, and I threaded a needle last Christmas. Now I know how that sounds. People half my age squinting at their phones, holding menus at arm's length, asking their grandchildren to read the fine print. And here I am, threading a needle to hem my great-granddaughter's dress. I read my Bible every morning. Same chair, same lamp, same tiny print, no glasses, haven't needed them. My ophthalmologist, Dr. Patterson, has been looking at my eyes for 23 years now. Last visit, he shook his head and said, "Mrs. Hutchins, you're a medical curiosity." I told him I'm not curious. I just ate what my mama told me to eat. See, my mother Odessa lived to 97, and that woman could read until the day she died. When I was a little girl in Georgia, she used to say something to me. She'd look at my plate and she'd say, "Baby, you eat the colors God put in the ground, and your eyes will see the colors God put in the sky." I didn't understand it then. I was just a child eating what was in front of me. But when I turned 80, something happened. I started watching my friends, women I'd known for decades. One by one, their eyes started going. Macular degeneration, cataracts, glaucoma. They couldn't drive anymore, couldn't read anymore. Some of them couldn't recognize their own grandchildren's faces. And I kept seeing fine. I looked at my plate, I looked at their plates, and I understood what Mama had been doing all along. Let me tell you about 10 foods that have been on my table my whole life. The first one is carrots. Now everybody knows carrots are good for your eyes. People joke about it. But knowing something and doing something are two different things entirely. When I was a girl in rural Georgia, we didn't have much. It was the 1930s. Sugar was scarce. Candy was for Christmas if we were lucky. But Mama had a garden out back, red Georgia clay, and she made things grow in it anyway. Carrots were my candy. I'd go out there in the afternoon, pull one right out of the ground, wipe the dirt off on my dress, and eat it warm from the sun. The crunch of it, the sweetness. Mama told me carrots would help me see in the dark. I believed her because I was a child, and children believe their mothers. Turns out she was right. The doctors call it beta-carotene now. Converts to vitamin A. Essential for the retina. Mama didn't know that word. Never heard of beta-carotene in her life. She just knew what kept her people's eyes working. That's the thing about the old ways. Sometimes the science catches up 60 years later, but carrots were just the beginning. Mama had greens on that table every single day. Spinach. She planted it every spring, and she cooked it every way you can think of. Wilted with a little vinegar and fat back, mixed into eggs, sitting right there on the side of your plate whether you wanted it or not. I still have her iron skillet, heavy thing, seasoned with 70 years of cooking. I make my greens in it to this day. Now the doctors talk about something called lutein. They say it acts like sunglasses inside your eye, protects that little spot called the macula from light damage. Spinach is full of it. I didn't know I was protecting my macula. I just knew my mama would fuss if I didn't eat my greens. And Lord knows, you did not want Odessa fussing at you. Sometimes the best health plan is a mother who won't take no for an answer. Now this next one might surprise you. Egg yolks. For about 20 years, everybody told me eggs were going to kill me. My own children, grown adults, tried to get me to stop. Mama, the cholesterol. Mama, your heart. They wanted me eating egg whites like some kind of hospital food. I ignored them. My mother ate eggs every morning of her life. 2 eggs, fried in butter, yolks running. She lived to 97 and saw fine until the end. So I figured I'd trust Odessa over whatever the news was saying that particular decade. Turns out there's something in egg yolks called zeaxanthin. Concentrates right in the macula, protects it. The science eventually agreed with my mother. For 20 years, people told me I was killing myself with eggs. I'm still here. Some of them aren't. I'm not saying ignore your doctor. I'm saying my mother knew things, and I learned to trust the woman who raised me. Let me tell you about the orange foods, sweet potatoes, red bell peppers. To understand why these matter, I need to tell you about my husband, Samuel. Samuel grew up in the city, different table than mine. White bread, canned vegetables, nothing with color. When we got married in 1951, I started cooking for both of us. My table, my mama's recipes, all those colors. But Samuel was stubborn. 54 years of marriage, and that man would pick around the sweet potatoes, push the peppers to the side of his plate. He'd eat the meat, eat the cornbread, and leave the color sitting there. I'd tell him. Lord knows I told him. But you can't make a grown man eat what he doesn't want to eat. By the time Samuel was 72, his vision was failing. Macular degeneration. I watched him struggle to see our grandchildren's faces. I watched him give up driving. I watched him sit in his chair, unable to read the newspaper he'd read every morning for 50 years. I watched the world go dark for him, and I was standing right there in the same kitchen, eating different. Vitamin A in those sweet potatoes, vitamin C in those peppers. They worked together. I ate both. Samuel didn't. I'm not telling you this to say I was right and he was wrong. I'm telling you this because I loved that man, and I couldn't save him from himself. After Samuel's eyes started going, I tried everything I could think of. One thing I did was start squeezing fresh orange juice every morning. The doctors talk about bioflavonoids, something in citrus that helps the blood vessels in your eyes. Your eyes need blood flow to work. Simple as that. Samuel would drink the juice at least. He'd sit at that kitchen table, eyes that couldn't focus quite right anymore, and drink what I put in front of him. I couldn't change all his years. I couldn't go back and make him eat the sweet potatoes when we were 40, but I got orange juice into him. Maybe that gave us a few more good months. Maybe it didn't. Sometimes love is just doing the small things even when you know the big things are already lost. Now, the next two might surprise you, pumpkin seeds and oysters. When I was 92 years old, I went for my annual eye exam. Dr. Raymond Patterson, been seeing him for over 2 decades at that point. He did all his tests, looked at his charts, and then he sat back and said, "Mrs. Hutchins, I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop." Said my eyes looked like someone 20 years younger. He asked me about my diet. I told him what I ate. When I mentioned pumpkin seeds, he nodded. "Zinc," he said, "essential for melanin production in the eye. Helps protect against light damage. I had a bowl of pumpkin seeds on my counter for 40 years. Just a snack, something to pick at while I was cooking. And oysters, Samuel used to bring them back from the coast. A treat. He'd drive down to Savannah and come back with a cooler full. That was his gift to me, even if he wouldn't eat the sweet potatoes. Oysters are the highest zinc food there is. Some things I did right without knowing why. I just followed my mother's patterns and my husband's gifts. Turns out love and habit can protect you in ways you don't understand until the doctors explain it decades later. The last two go back to Mama, dried apricots. She kept them in a jar on the shelf. When I was good, really good, she'd let me have a few, sweet and chewy. Little pieces of sunshine, carotenoids, same family as what's in carrots, concentrated in those dried fruits, and collard greens. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday, every time family came over, collards in the pot, cooked low and slow with a ham hock. The smell of them takes me right back to her kitchen. The doctors say something about high-density chlorophyll, linked to retinal health. I don't need to understand the chemistry. I just need to remember my mother standing over that pot, stirring those greens, feeding her family what would keep them well. Looking back, my mother built me a shield I didn't even know I was wearing. 10 foods, colors from the ground, habits from a woman who never finished 5th grade but knew something the doctors confirmed 60 years later. She couldn't explain the science, but she could fill a plate. Now, let me tell you why I'm really saying all this. I have a great-granddaughter named Mariah. She's 17 years old. Sweet girl, smart girl, always on that phone of hers. And child, she does not eat. Not anything with color anyway. I watch her push vegetables around her plate the same way Samuel used to. She squints already, 17 years old. I look at Mariah and I see a lot of you. Young enough to change, old enough to ignore me. Here's what I want you to understand. I'm not telling you this because I got everything right. Lord knows I didn't. I'm telling you this because I got this one thing right, and it might be the most important thing. You've got eyes that work. Don't wait until you're squinting at your grandchildren's faces to care. I'm 101 years old. I sat at my kitchen table this morning, reading my Bible in natural light, no glasses. I can still see the cardinals in the tree outside my window. I can still see my great-grandchildren's faces when they smile. That's not luck. That's carrots and spinach and egg yolks. That's Mama. I'm telling you what kept me seeing. Whether you listen, that's between you and your plate. If this meant something to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.